Ambassador Sarah Chen adjusted her modest blue suit as she walked through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Council station. Around her, towering Zephyrian war chiefs in their ceremonial battle armor sneered at her diminutive 5-foot frame. The insectoid Klaxon delegates clicked their mandibles, and what she had learned was their equivalent of laughter. Even the gaseous nebulae representatives seemed to shimmer with amusement at her presence. "The humans send another talker," rumbled General Vorthak of the Zephyrian Empire, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. "How quaint." For 3 standard years, humanity had been the joke of galactic politics. While other species conquered worlds through superior firepower, advanced technology, or psychic domination, humans showed up to negotiations with nothing but words, data tablets, and an inexplicable belief that problems could be solved through conversation. The Galactic Council had initially been puzzled by humanity's approach. Most species had either been conquered and absorbed into larger empires, or had done the conquering themselves. The concept of a species that preferred negotiation over annihilation was so foreign that many considered it a sign of weakness, perhaps even mental deficiency. Sarah took her designated seat, deliberately placed in the back corner where the minor species belonged, and opened her briefing materials. Today's session would address the ongoing territorial dispute between the militant Zephyrian Empire and the Klaxon Hive Collective, a conflict that had raged for 7 decades and consumed entire solar systems. "We gather today," announced High Arbiter Xylon, a towering crystalline being whose species had long ago transcended physical warfare in favor of bureaucratic domination, to witness another futile attempt at mediation. "The humans have requested to address the assembly." The chamber erupted in what could charitably be called laughter, though the sounds ranged from Zephyrian roars to Klaxon chittering to the haunting wails of the void swimmers from Sector 7. Sarah stood and walked to the central podium, her soft-soled shoes making no sound on the alien materials. She waited patiently for the noise to subside, then began to speak in her quiet, measured tone. "Honored delegates," she began, "I come before you not with threats of destruction or promises of conquest, but with a simple question. What do you truly want?" General Vorthak slammed his gauntleted fist against his seat. "We want the mineral-rich worlds of the Andromeda sector, as is our right by conquest. And we require those same worlds to establish new hive colonies for our expanding population," chittered Queen Speaker Zixthara of the Klaxons. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "I see. And tell me, General Vorthak, what percentage of your military budget is currently dedicated to this conflict?" The general's scarred face twisted in confusion. "What does that matter? War is war." "Approximately 67% of the Empire's military resources have been committed to this sector for 7 decades, Sarah continued, consulting her tablet. "That's resources that could have been used to explore new territories, develop new technologies, or strengthen your core worlds." She turned to the Klaxon representative. "And, Queen Speaker Zixthara, your hive has lost approximately 14 million drones in this conflict. At your species' reproduction rate, that represents nearly a century of population growth, does it not?" The insectoid delegate's compound eyes flickered uncertainly. "These losses are acceptable for the greater good of the collective, are they?" Sarah asked gently. "Because according to the stellar surveys conducted by the Ethereal Cartographers Guild, there are 43 uninhabited systems within 12 parsecs of Klaxon space that possess similar mineral compositions and suitable atmospheric conditions. Systems that require no conquest, no military expenditure, no loss of life." The chamber began to murmur. Sarah continued, her voice never rising, but somehow carrying to every corner of the vast space. "General Vorthak, your empire prides itself on strength and honor in battle. But tell me, is there honor in a war that has achieved nothing but mutual devastation? Your finest warriors have spent their entire careers in this single conflict, aging and dying in trenches when they could have been exploring new frontiers, bringing glory to Zephyr through discovery rather than destruction." The general's rage was faltering, replaced by something that might have been confusion. "But they invaded our rightful territory." "Did they?" Sarah pulled up a holographic display showing the disputed sector. "According to historical records, this region was uninhabited when both your species arrived. The conflict began not over ownership, but over a misunderstanding about mining rights on the 3rd planet of the Kepler 442 system." She highlighted several areas on the map, a planet whose mineral wealth, incidentally, has been almost entirely depleted by 7 decades of orbital bombardments. The silence in the chamber was profound. Sarah turned to address the full assembly. This is what we humans call a zero-sum fallacy. The belief that for one party to gain, another must lose. But the galaxy is vast. Resources are abundant. The only scarcity is imagination. She began walking slowly around the chamber's perimeter, making eye contact with delegates from dozens of species. The Draconian Trade Federation controls 17% of galactic commerce not through conquest, but through establishing mutually beneficial trade agreements. The Vegan Commonwealth has colonized 43 worlds without firing a single shot, simply by offering technological assistance to pre-spaceflight civilizations. The Ethereal Cartographers Guild has mapped 2/3 of the galaxy by providing their services to anyone who asks, building relationships instead of demanding tribute. High Arbiter Xylan's crystalline form chimed with what Sarah had learned was curiosity. And what do humans gain from this? Approach? Sarah smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Everything. We are citizens of 17 different multi-species colonies. Our scientists collaborate with the finest minds from 42 different civilizations. Our artists learn from traditions spanning thousands of years and hundreds of unique perspectives. Our children grow up speaking languages that existed before our species learned to use tools. She returned to the podium. 3 years ago, you laughed at our diplomats because we had no weapons to force compliance with our wishes. But we never wanted compliance. We wanted cooperation. And in 3 short years, humanity has become indispensable to the functioning of this galaxy, not through fear, but through trust. The chamber was absolutely silent now. So I returned to my original question, what do you truly want? Because if Queen Speaker Zixathera wants suitable worlds for expansion, we can find them. If General Vorthak wants glory for his empire, we can help him achieve it through means that don't require the sacrifice of millions of lives. If you want prosperity, security, growth, discovery, all of these things are possible. Sarah closed her tablet and looked directly at the High Arbiter. But they all require one thing that seems to terrify most species in this galaxy. They require you to ask for help instead of taking what you want by force. General Vorthak stood slowly, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber. For a moment, Sarah wondered if she had pushed too hard. Then the general spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. If there truly are suitable worlds available through cooperation rather than conquest, the Zephyrian Empire would be willing to discuss terms. Queen Speaker Zixathera's mandibles clicked rapidly. The collective also wishes to explore these alternatives. As delegates throughout the chamber began murmuring agreement, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had indeed laughed at human diplomats. But in a universe where every problem was solved with force, sometimes the most revolutionary weapon was a simple question. What if there's a better way? 6 months later, the first joint Zephyrian Klaxon colony ship launched toward the Andromedy sector, not as conquerors, but as partners, and in the cargo bay of that ship was a small plaque, engraved with words that were already becoming legend throughout the galaxy, donated by the people of Earth, who believe that the greatest victories are won not on battlefields, but around negotiation tables. The galaxy had stopped laughing at human diplomats. They were too busy trying to understand how words, simple, carefully chosen words, had accomplished what centuries of warfare could not.